Hello and welcome to this webinar by the ILO Global Business and Disability Network. Today is on Care to Compete, Corporate Policies and Practices on Care and Support for Employees with Disabilities and Employees with Dependents with Disabilities. My name is Jürgen Menze. I'm the coordinator of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network. I'm a middle-aged white man with a beard, as usual, wearing a light blue shirt today. Now, we're very excited and grateful that you joined this webinar. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You can activate live captions here in Zoom. That should be typically at the bottom of your screen. We also have throughout the webinar international sign interpretation. You should see next to me either the interpreter Tina or Maya. And also, we encourage you to use the chat to introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're connecting from, what your organization is that you represent. And at the same time, we ask you to put questions to the panelists, not in the chat, but in the Q&A. With that said, we want to start with a poll, with a quiz, basically. Before I talk a little bit about the content, setting the scene basically for the webinar, we will now launch a poll which asks you about care, whether you receive care or you provide care. And the question is, do you provide and or receive care? And the options are, I provide unpaid care, for example, for my children or parents, and I am employed. And when we talk about care, we mean this now in a general sense. It doesn't have to be based on disability-specific needs. So I provide unpaid care is the first option. Then I provide unpaid care and I am unemployed. So I provide unpaid care and at the same time, I don't have a waged employment. That's the second option. The third option is I provide paid care as a professional, for example, in the health or educational sector. Then the next option is I receive care and I am employed. So I'm an employee and at the same time I receive care. And the next one is I receive care and I am unemployed. I'm currently not in employment. And then the last option is, since we didn't want to have 20 options, it's just none of the given options apply to me. So we'll give it a few seconds so you can still put in your answer. But just to give you a little bit of the background of this webinar before I then also share the results of the poll. Look, obviously, since you're connected, you understand the importance of the care economy, and especially from a disability inclusion perspective. At the ILO, the International Labour Organization, which we also represent here as ILO staff, it adopted through its International Labour Conference last year its resolution on decent work and the care economy. This is a milestone resolution because for the first time there was a really explicit recognition of the importance of the care economy. It was adopted by the employers, workers, and governments of the ILO's 187 member states. So that's important, the recognition of the importance of the care economy. And at the same time, this resolution was also strong on disability inclusion of persons with disabilities, also with the aim to promote autonomy for persons with disabilities who receive care. And I think it's very important to also clarify that obviously not all persons with disabilities have care needs based on their disability. We all have care needs at certain points in time, but we also have to be very clear that just because you have a disability, you're not automatically in need of care. That I think it's important to clarify to avoid misunderstandings here. And when we think about care economy, disability inclusion, of course, it's from one perspective, it's about being able to receive care, and by receiving care, being able then to access and stay in employment. That's a very important dimension of our debate today also. And then, of course, at the same time, the ILO approaches it from making sure that decent work for those who provide care, unpaid and paid care, happens in decent working conditions, right? So those who have care responsibilities, who provide care, are also do this in a decent work setting, so to say. Next week, on the 29th of October, we will celebrate for the third time in human history the International Day of Care and Support, which was adopted as an international day by the UN back in June, I think it was 2023. So that's why, of course, we also want to contribute to this International Day with today's webinar and the report that we launched yesterday, and that will be presented by my colleague Beatriz in a bit. So as I mentioned, we'll present the report. We'll then also have the privilege of hearing directly from the companies that are also featured in the report, namely from Marine Palies. She's the Global Head of Inclusion and Diversity at AXA. Eva Krupka, she's a CSR Manager in Poland for Capgemini. Laurent Dordain, HR Project Manager at ENGIE. Joe Austin, Inclusion Delivery Manager at HSBC. And Sylviane Balustre d'Ernaville, Engagement and Social Innovation Director, L'Oréal. All of these companies are, of course, members of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, and we really appreciate their leadership on disability inclusion in general and including in the area of care. Now let's just end the poll, and I'll read out, not sure if you can see that on your screens, just to give you an idea of who is connected right now in this webinar. So most people say none of the given options apply to me, so they might not receive or provide care. That's with 46%, almost half of the participants. But then a third of those who responded said, I provide unpaid care. For example, my children or parents, and I'm in employment. So 1/3 of those who replied provide unpaid care and are employed. The second option that got most votes was I receive care and I am employed. And the other options just got a few votes. So this is very interesting because this is really the topic of what we try to address today. Either as a person who receives care and is employed, or a care provider who is also employed in other unpaid, I mean, not as a professional, so to say, caregiver. Now, before I hand it over to my colleague Beatriz Bastião, who's directly working with me in the Global Business and Disability Network Secretariat, we would like to show you a little clip, a 1-minute clip. Don't worry, it's not boring, I hope, to give you already a bit of an appetizer to the report that Beatriz will present in more detail. So please, Aria, my colleague, also share. Thank you. Enjoyed the video, even though it was a bit lagging, but it's also, of course, on the ILO's YouTube channel if you want to rewatch it after this webinar. With this said, I'll hand it over to my colleague Beatriz, who will give you a bit more details on the report, Care to Compete, that we just launched yesterday, and again, appreciating also the support we got in this report development from the companies also represented today and other companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Jürgen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today on behalf of the Secretariat of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network to present our latest publication titled Care to Compete, Corporate Policies and Practices on Care and Support for Employees with Disabilities and Employees with Dependents with Disabilities. So before deep diving into the publication itself, I want to extend our gratitude to key actors involved in the production of the report, namely our lead researcher, Rubina Singh, ILO's care economy specialists, Laura Adati, Lorena Pastor-Palacios, and Mia Toma. ILO senior specialists in the Bureau for Employers Activities, Jae-hee Chang. The Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency for their financial support. Christian Tasso for the design and accessibility of this publication. Purple Space in reaching out to disability employee resource groups. And last but definitely not least, all company representatives who took their time to share their insights, research, and experiences through interviews. We are very happy to have AXA, Capgemini, ENGIE, HSBC, and L'Oréal joining us today, as my colleague Jürgen mentioned. Now into the report. This is a publication that provides business-focused insights into care and support policies and practices as they relate to employees with disabilities and employees with dependents with disabilities. There are 6 main themes that arise from the report's analysis. Number 1, aligning care policies with workforce needs allows for stronger retention and productivity. We found a strong correlation between care and support policies and job satisfaction, which has direct implications for retention of employees and their productivity. For this reason, companies can position care policies as core to workforce strategy. Where possible, align care policies with environmental, social, and governance, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and human resources performance goals, and ensure delivery mechanisms that build trust and meet the diverse needs of employees. Number 2, increasing awareness is key to maximizing the use of care policies among employees with disabilities and employees with dependents with disabilities. Even when corporate care and support policies are in place, their effectiveness depends on the workforce awareness of them. Companies can integrate care policy into different communication areas and channels, and also use targeted outreach for employees, regardless of gender, who may be less likely to disclose care-related needs. Number 3, inclusive policy engagement empowers employees. So enterprises that regularly review and adapt their care and support policies are better equipped to respond to both disruptions and demographic shifts. Companies can gather inputs on which care needs exist and how policies are working or not working. Where feasible, establish consultation mechanisms, such as employee resource groups on disability or caregiver issues. And, of course, integrate transparent feedback loops into this process. Number 4, it's important to advance equity in care for employees with disabilities and with dependents with disabilities. These employees often face additional barriers in accessing, balancing, and benefiting from workplace support. For that reason, companies can review policies to assess if they meet the specific needs of those they intend to benefit, and be mindful of overlapping challenges. For example, women with disabilities or single fathers with caregiving responsibilities. Number 5, supporting the well-being and engagement of employees with care responsibilities is key. So these employees may face additional stress and fatigue when providing care. And while not all employers can offer formal caregiver benefits, companies can increase awareness of existing national or community support services and also offer increased flexibility to employees with care responsibilities for dependents with disabilities where possible. And finally, number 6, bridging the global vision with local implementation is an essential aspect of sound policies. So the effectiveness of implementation of global care policies often varies by country or branch. Adapting policies to local realities and ensure consistency in how they are applied is key. For that reason, it's important that companies ensure consistent application and equip managers with the authority and training to apply policies equitably across regions. We invite everyone to read the report, which is available on the ILO website, and the ILO Global Business and Disability Network website. I believe my colleague Jürgen also posted here on the group chat, so you can access it directly. You can further explore these themes and how evidence backs up these recommendations. But most importantly, the report features testimonials from several companies that are already putting these recommendations into practice, some of them presenting these practices in today's webinar. Thank you very much. Back to you, Jürgen.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Beatriz, for the presentation just now, and of course also the time and valuable feedback you provided throughout the development of the report. And as you said, now we will hear from some of the companies that we had involved in the production of that report today. So representing AXA today is Marine. Marine, so AXA's We Care Global Health and Wellbeing Program was introduced only a few years ago, but it has the explicit support of your CEO and is already rolled out in over 50 countries. So what is this program's care component about? And what does it mean specifically for employees with dependents with disabilities? Over to you, Marine, and thank you.
Thank you very much. And first of all, nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Marine Palies. I am a middle-aged white woman. I have medium length, light brown hair, getting lighter and lighter, if you see what I mean. I'm wearing glasses, hearing aids, as I have a hearing impairment, and a black outfit today. And I'm super happy to be with you today and to share what we are doing at AXA when it comes to caregiver support and disability inclusion. So Jürgen, back to your question. Indeed, we at AXA, we have launched in 2023 the We Care program, which is our global health and well-being initiative. And this with the full support of our CEO, and I would even say from the whole support of our management committee members. It's a comprehensive group-wide program which is designed to prioritize employee well-being across various life stages and different circumstances. The program is rolled out across all our entities in 50 countries, and it includes a range of mandatory measures that all entities must have in place. So we launched it in 2023, and already today we are at 99% of implementation of all these measures. It's structured around 4 key pillars: health support, parenthood support, domestic and sexual violence support, and also caregiver support. So it's really reflecting our commitment to creating a caring, inclusive culture by providing employees with the support they need during critical moments of their life. Now, when it comes to the topic of caregiver support, we have implemented some specific measures that are available to all employees globally to make sure that they can really take care of their loved one being with a disability or a health condition. So this means, for instance, offering up to 5 days of additional paid leaves for caregivers, or in most often those days are taken through half days. So on the full year, it means 10 half days of fully paid leaves. I know that in some regions, this may sound like, okay, for instance, in France, we have a very generous social security system. So this may sound a bit, odd or obvious, but I can tell you that when you apply this globally, it's a real benefit for people who have caregiving responsibilities. We, of course, also offer flexible work arrangements, meaning, for instance, remote work options from the home of the person who needs to receive specific caregiver support. support. We can also amend the working rhythm, so we can implement some temporary part-time work scheme. Through these flex work arrangements, the idea is that we really help to balance the caring responsibilities of some of our employees with their normal work schedule. And we also have, super important, we also have in place dedicated support services, especially for mental health support for our caregivers, because we know that, this is very important, that they also take care of themselves in order to better take care of the others. So I would say in a nutshell that our approach not only provide practical support to our employees, but also acknowledge and value the crucial role that caregivers play. And we're trying to reduce their isolation. Talking about the topic is one way of doing it. And the more we talk about it, the more we explain our We Care program and what it means for caregiver, the better it helps them to maintain their well-being while continuing their careers. So that's in a nutshell our We Care program and what it offers for caregivers.
Great, thanks so much, Marine. And I assume people who want to learn more about it can reach out to you, and we'll also have a chance, hopefully at the end of the webinar, to get some questions to each or some of the panelists as a group. But I think one point I just want to emphasize exactly what you said, that we need to talk about it, just now recognizing that this is a reality for a lot of people and just opening this space. And I hope with also our report we launched yesterday, we contribute to a narrative and more openness to talk about care, responsibilities and receiving care when employed. So now let's hear from Eva from Capgemini. And we know generally it's important to learn directly from employees what's going on in the company, of course, also in the area of disability inclusion and care. To do that, it's crucial that companies establish, if they don't have yet employee resource groups, or sometimes called employee network groups, or ERGs or ENGs. In Capgemini, you have the ERGs capability and also neuroability. So when talking about these two ERGs or ENGs, how do these engage on the topic of care and support in Capgemini? Thank you, Eva.
Hi, Jürgen. Hi, all. I'm very happy to be here. I'm Eva Krupka, CSR manager based at Poland. I'm in my 40s. I've got brown eyes, rather short hair. I'm wearing a fringe. What I'm wearing today, very proudly, also is the blue lanyard representing our capability community, one of the employee network groups that I will be telling about. But let me start with stating that at Capgemini, fostering an inclusive culture is not just a priority. It definitely is a priority, but it's a shared commitment. And the shared word is clear here because, yes, this inclusion is sitting on the employee network group's shoulders on the practical side, and they play a key role in advancing equity, accessibility, and empowerment of the entire workforce. But there is a very strong commitment to disability inclusion anchored in leadership, and it's demonstrated through different actions, global partnerships, among others, and strategic transformation. In 2024, our CEO, Ayman Adzad, signed the Business Leaders Pledge on Disability Inclusive Sustainability Practices. And this allowed to embed disability inclusion into our ESG strategy. While we are proud to be part of global coalitions such as the Valuable 500 or the ILO, our focus is on measurable progress. And through Disability In, we've benchmarked our efforts and earned recognition for 2 consecutive years in a row, affirming our dedication to continuous improvement. And I can proudly say it is our big passion and obsession to make these commitments tangible for our colleagues working across the globe. And with such a strong support and commitment coming from the top in Capgemini, there is a really good environment that allows our ENGs to thrive, to grow, to link, engage, and empower each other. And this is where real passion for change demonstrated by volunteers. And it's important to understand that ENGs are led by volunteers, colleagues who do it on top of their daily jobs. But it also meets the structured and strategic support from the top. So going into more details, Capability is a global network that supports colleagues with disabilities, but also those who have neurodivergent conditions or they have carers' responsibilities. And the community's mission is to foster an inclusive workplace culture, inclusive to all, regardless of ability or life stage. To the question how Capability engages on the topic of inclusion and care. Well, in many meaningful ways. First, it creates a safe space where employees can exchange feedback and support. And it's done through various surveys or employee-led conversations where the employees share their lived examples, experiences. And this helps shape policies and practices that truly reflect their needs and they respond to those needs. Secondly, it advocates for workplace accommodations, both physical adjustments, assistive technologies, but also flexible work arrangement. And to give you an example, in Poland, we have a program, Win with Capgemini, that has been providing for many years now tailored support to people with disabilities in the area of either workplace adjustments, but also solutions for the teams where people with disabilities work. So that's through training, awareness raising, and other solutions supporting integration of colleagues with disabilities. They have the best potentially, the best environment where they can potentially work. Third, Capability drives awareness and education. It cooperates very closely with different teams across the organization, HR, learning and development, recruitment, management, to provide training that builds empathy and understanding. And example here, from the group perspective, several members of this network have been actively supporting the tests on accessibility of our group learning platform that's been recently kicked off across the group. And that engagement helped ensure that the content presented is both inclusive and accessible to all. Other colleagues from this Capability ENGIE network also contributed in the assessment of the accessibility of the Capgemini offices, now conducted in 14 countries with the external support of Mobility Mojo. In Poland, we have accessibility community, so the third ENGIE that is building the inclusive workplace. And the accessibility community started as a group of experts delivering accessible solutions to a specific client. Now, we incorporated them into the country's ENGIE portfolio, but it also serves the global landscape at Capgemini because it gives inspiration and very valuable expertise to other countries with the group by sharing expertise in the form of one-pagers, documents, podcasts, blog, or even website audits. Neurability. Neurability operates as a specific chapter of Capability community focusing on neurodivergent talent. And this ENGIE is a key part of Capgemini's award-winning Neuro Inclusion program. This program received this year's Zero Project Award. And since the launch of the project in 2022, the Neuro Inclusion Task Force expanded to 12 key geographies now, delivering awareness and training to over 5,000 employees. What are the trainings about? Well, basic concepts like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, but shown in a very specific way, not as limitations, but as a unique source of strength. Neurability also promotes inclusive design solutions, such as real-time captioning, that are beneficial not only to neurodivergent employees, but also to non-native English speakers, like myself, for example. In Poland, we've had a very successful grassroots initiative called Digital Seeds, and something that started as an employee-led educational initiative that was reaching out to students, primary school students with neurodivergent conditions, with special educational needs, and with disability certificates. And a group of volunteers ran workshops and classes also on employability, to the group of over 100 students. Those students then spread the learned knowledge to their schools, to their parents, to their carers. So the seeds are growing. The leader of this project came to be the Neuroability Community co-leader for Poland. And now I must proudly say that we have the second edition of Digital Seeds underway in a completely different geography in Poland, in a different region, and more children are benefiting from the inclusive learning. So to sum up, what really makes those two employee network groups, or three in Poland, so powerful is the foundation in real lived experience. And employees who are part of those ENGs, of course, they bring the professional knowledge, the expertise, but most of all, they bring personal insights and the personal perspective that shapes the way we think about inclusion. And this culture of inclusion and accessibility really benefits everyone. And it's not only about creating subtitles or flexible work arrangement for a limited group of people. These benefit more than just the intended group, right? If we have those inclusive solutions in place, then everyone benefits, and the positive environment that is created is good for everyone, where everyone can grow. And the dream is to live in such a work environment where accessibility is not an exception, but the norm applicable to all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Eva. I think we all share this dream where accessibility is not even noticeable because it's just a normalized experience, so to say. And thanks also, I think I just want to emphasize one of the points you made, especially at the beginning, where you said it's a shared responsibility and shared responsibility within the company. And of course, we can't put it all on a ENG, ERG, because it's, as you said, voluntary work. But when we zoom out a bit and go beyond the workplace company level, we need to also recognize that there's amazing companies leading on these issues of disability inclusion and care. And at the same time, it's a shared social responsibility, of course, also with government in charge of providing public policies, national laws that enable companies, including multinational enterprises like yours who operate in countries around the world, to do good work. So thanks for that. Now we'll hear from Laurent. Laurent is presenting ENGIE. Let me just get him online on the screen, so to say. So Laurent, in ENGIE Care. So ENGIE Care is a global social protection program you have in your company. Could you please explain it to us, and with a particular focus on how it addresses disability issues? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jürgen. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm Laurent, very happy to be with you this morning. I'm a HR project manager at ENGIE Group. I am a 60-year-old white man with fairly short white hair. I am wearing a pink shirt and a navy blue jacket. And first of all, I would like to thank ILO and especially GBDN for inviting me to speak this morning, and my special thanks to Aria and Jürgen. So maybe we can go to the next slide, please, Aria or Jürgen, just to have an overview of ENGIE Care. Thank you very much. So ENGIE Care is our company's first comprehensive global social protection program designed to provide a minimum level of protection for all ENGIE employees, regardless of their location and employment status. Currently, ENGIE Care covers approximately 100,000 employees across 30 countries. The program is built actually on 4 funding pillars: hospitalization, 75% of expenses reimbursed, maternity and paternity leaves, that is to say 14 weeks fully paid for maternity leave and 4 weeks for paternity leave. And believe me, the 4 weeks for paternity leave is quite challenging. Life covers 12 months gross salary in case of deaths, and the third pillar, which is the issue of today, total and permanent disability, 12 months gross salary in case of total and permanent disability. Alors, I would like to focus on the third pillar. The total and permanent disability, TPD. This TPD protection provides financial security to employees who, due to professional or non-professional accidents, disease, or injuries, are no longer able to work. The benefit is set at a minimum of 12 months base gross salaries paid as a lump sum or as an annuity equivalent to 20% of gross salary over 5 years. This protection is designed to complement any existing social security, state or professional branch coverage, ensuring that all employees have a safety net, even in countries where local provisions may be limited, which is unfortunately often the case. The program is also adaptable to local regulations and market practices, ensuring compliance and relevance in each country. Looking ahead, we are preparing to launch a 5-pillar, a well-being pillar, with deployment planned for the coming years, 2026 and 27. This pillar will focus on the prevention of both mental and physical health issues, offering support and resources to all employees. For our colleagues with disabilities, this means enhanced access to well-being initiatives such as mental health support, workplace adaptation, as mentioned before by our colleague from Capgemini, and inclusive health promotion activities. Our goal is to create an environment where every employee, including those with disabilities or dependent with disabilities, can thrive and feel supported in their daily lives. And to conclude, I would like to emphasize that ENGIE Cares Global actions are designed to complement the many local initiatives led by our colleagues all over the world. These local actions are essential for addressing specific needs and facilitating the daily lives of our colleagues with disabilities and their families. Together, our global and local efforts reflect ENGIE's commitment to inclusion, care, and support for all employees. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Laurent, and thank you for your personal commitment and the commitment of ENGIE on driving this inclusion also in the social protection care arena. So let's now hear from Joe. Joe is working at HSBC, and HSBC launched its Global Carers Charter. What is it about, and what does it mean for HSBC colleagues who have a dependent with a disability? Over to you, Joe.
Thanks, Jürgen. Just for everybody's awareness, I am a white middle-aged woman. I have brown hair and glasses, and I'm wearing a black dress with flowers on. So thank you for the opportunity to speak about this work. We have done quite a considerable amount of work over the last 3 or 4 years. But just to give you a little bit of background, so obviously I work full-time. I have my own hidden disability, but I also care for 4 members of my family. So this is really, really important to me. My mum has dementia, my husband has a chromosome deficit, my son is on the autistic spectrum, and my daughter-in-law is a wheelchair user. So I'm kept very busy. But how it all began. So back in the pandemic in the UK, which is where this started, there was a lot of noise from our carers crying out for support, to be honest, because we were supporting our parents who were homeschooling. But I think it was hidden the number of people who suddenly had their dependents at home. And so what we did, we started with something called Coffee for a Carer, which is small groups where we bring individuals together who have a shared lived experience. We do this with other things now. We do it for cancer support, we do it for neurodiversity, but it all began with Coffee for a Carer. During those calls, we identified a need for a handbook for carers, and that then became a UK Carers Charter with the support of our CEO, Ian Stewart. Once we launched that, we had really, really positive feedback. And so we decided that we would launch a global carers charter in 2024, which reaches our 215,000 employees across 57 markets, I think it is. And 28,000 of those employees have already disclosed that they are providing unpaid care. However, we know that many, many more are caring and don't necessarily recognise that they are caring. The Charter provides employees and their line managers who are providing unpaid care with details of the support that HSBC offers to help them with their caring situation. So, for example, it outlines relevant leave policies, flexible working, the option to take a sabbatical, wellbeing support, and that offered by the Employee Assistance Programme. And it also promotes the work of our employee resource groups. It also directs employees to sources of external support through government initiatives, charities, and those sorts of organisations. We designed the Charter to be a one-stop shop. So many people have said, you know, when you start caring, nobody tells you what you need to know. And it's certainly come through on Coffee for a Carer, where people have sort of said that they don't know what benefits they can claim, etc. So we recognise that people who are working and providing unpaid care are time poor, and they need to have information and resources at their fingertips. So we work with the local chapters of our employee resource groups, and initially we came up with a global version so that all employees have got some sort of access to support. The charter is hosted on both our internal HR system and on our group wellbeing hub, so there's more than one place that people can find the support. The global version can be adapted within each country. So specific versions were launched for the UK and Hong Kong, which are our two main markets, followed by the UAE and Singapore. And there are others in flight. It's been so popular. There's a real drive to get as many local versions launched as possible. The employer resource groups have found this really helpful. Now, our ERGs, there are two that specifically focus on caregivers. We have our ability one that looks after people who have physical and mental health conditions, have a long-term health condition, are neurodivergent, or are caring for somebody. And we keep carers as part of that group so that carers can gain information from the other strands. But also our Nurture ERG supports caregivers more broadly. So they hold these Ability Friends calls, which is Coffee for a Carer, under a new banner. And like I say, it's a safe space so that people can share experience and gain support. And they'll use the Carers Charter as a way to signpost individuals on that call. It's a lifeline to our carers because they walk away equipped with information and tools that they can use in order to move forward in their caring role. Our ERGs also maintain relationships with external organisations locally who will present to groups of employees on a topic or are a source of individual support that they can signpost to. We've complemented the Charter with a set of global carer principles which set out our commitment to those with caring responsibilities and our expectations of our line managers. Both of those tools are a really useful resource for line managers. The principles set out our expectation of them, and the charter gives them a wealth of information to enable them to support the employee. Something else we delivered last year was something called Know Me Better, which is a tool to support the employee and the line manager to have a conversation about caring. It gives the carer confidence to speak about their situation, and it enables the line manager to establish ways of working, such as the hours people work, and provide appropriate support at the point of need. So we hope that by having a charter in place, individuals will be more willing to share their situation so that they can be supported, but also that we continue to benefit from the unique skills that they bring to the workplace. And I think that's the part that often gets missed and forgotten. So in 2025, following the successful launch of the Charter and the principles, we're building on it, and we've developed a financial health resource for carers and dependents, and that will form part of the Charter, and it's another resource to support carers. We're creating global UK and Hong Kong versions, plus customer versions in the UK and in Hong Kong. So hopefully we'll be able to provide broader support as part of that. And it's very much around helping people plan for the future. So hopefully combined, our carers now have a whole wealth of resources at their fingertips to help them balance the demands of unpaid caring with a fulfilling career.
Well, thanks so much, Joel. Such a powerful intervention you gave us for several reasons. But let me just pick a few before we move on to Sylviane. Look, I think what you said about skills and keeping people engaged, productive, of course. I mean, hopefully that's clear. But I think you put it very well. That that's the whole idea, right? That's why we have to talk about care and enable these safe spaces that you described so well. And I think also another point, you gave this figure that I just calculated, I mean, with my smartphone, that more than 13% of the 215,000 HSBC colleagues confirmed that they're unpaid, they're providing unpaid care, and probably many more. So having these figures probably also helps. And I know that in the Q&A box, whoever asks a question, there is a question about numbers, providing a case to really push further. So thanks for also sharing. This is not a minority. A lot of us provide unpaid care. And then just amazing. I mean, look, the fact that you also share with us, you have a non-obvious disability and you're caring for dependents, so to say. This is a very important angle that I must admit we discussed it in our report, but we don't have data on it. And I think it's something to explore, how people with disabilities themselves also provide care, including for others with disabilities. So thanks so much, Joe. Now let's hear from Sylviane. Sylviane, you are working at L'Oréal, and L'Oréal has been a pioneer in this area of care, because you have been having your share and care program for over a decade now. So what is this program for those who have never heard of it, which is unlikely, but still, we want to hear more about share and care, and how has it evolved over the last 10 years or so, and what does it mean in terms of disability inclusion at L'Oréal? Over to you.
Thank you, Jürgen. First of all, hello to everyone. Indeed, my name is Sylviane. I am a Black middle-aged French woman, and today I'm wearing glasses and a big thinky shirt and a black jacket. I am myself a caregiver because I'm supporting beloved one, close beloved one, with especially with mental health condition. So indeed, to come back on our commitment on care, and especially for people with disability, it has been quite a long journey, a long story. So I will try to make it short. In fact, we launched Share and Care program, which is a social protection program that was 12 years ago. And we got inspiration from ILO 202 recommendation that invite government, but also businesses, to better protect people with good social protection floors. And this is why at that time we have decided to create a comprehensive program, so called Share and Care, which is an international program set up in all of our subsidiaries. So this is a compulsory program since the beginning. So it covers 90,000 employees of within the group. And it is organized based on 4 main pillars. And I will give some example on the way we support and people with disabilities. The first pillar is protection, mainly focused on financial protection, with, for example, an insurance, disability insurance for permanent disability, being partial or total, with an equivalent of 2 years' salary. There are also some other initiatives like benefits like living wage for all, of course, and death insurance, for example. The second pillar is health. And this pillar quite evolved over the years because initially it was much more on providing solution, reimbursement, and with time we put more and more prevention benefits and initiative. So, for example, it has been enhanced more recently with a dedicated policy on cancer and chronic disease, or, for example, also on violence, with a lot of things like financial support, equivalent of 12 months support in case of cancer or chronic disease, daily support at home during the treatment, and also back to work support whenever the disability occurs as a on a permanent basis or not. We put also in place a lot of things around mental health, more and more, of course, from prevention also to support, with employee assistance program, with free access to a session with a therapist, for example, or in case of crisis. And then the third pillar is balance. And in this pillar, we provide employees with working flexible work organization, flexible hours, remote work, and of course, especially dedicated to people with disability or any other vulnerabilities. We provide also paid days, paid leave, minimum of 3 days for caregivers. So some of them are taking care of people with disabilities, and of course, people with disabilities can, depending on the countries where they are working, can benefit also from other paid leave or paid day. The fourth pillar of Share and Care is the workplace. And the spirit of this pillar is really to develop an inclusive workplace, inclusive for all, and of course for people with disabilities, so that everybody can feel fulfilled and work in the best condition for everyone. So this is a program, and now, indeed, I mentioned that the evolution was mainly on from problem solution solving to prevention, but still there are some challenges that we have been facing, and still today, and we are working hard on it, and especially in collaboration with other departments, of course, with our colleague from a diversity and inclusion department. First of all, is to break the taboo still on this topic, because there are still a lot of prejudices from everybody, from people themselves, sometimes with auto-censure, because fear of disclosing our disabilities, sometimes fear or censored also from managers. So we are working a lot on it, so that we can create a safe space at work. So, for example, we do a lot of communication campaign. There is one developed by the D&I department, which is Break the Silence. Another one, more recent, was to break the taboo around cancer and serious illness. and based on testimonies of employees from all level of the companies, from the bottom to the top, with ExCo members, for example, sharing their own stories. The second, another challenges is of course raise awareness and train people. So there are many initiatives both in Share and Care and in other program of L'Oréal to make it happen and to make this become a positive reality in the company. And we have seen the result of all this effort, all this program, because just one figure, the disclosure of people with disability among employees raised from a little less from 1% to more than 2% last year. So that was over a few years, of course. But in other figures, that has raised from around 600 people to more than 2,000 people. So this is, very important to keep stress on developing for us. Keep on developing a safe space, supporting people with prevention, with financial time, or any services support to make a very pleasant workplace for all. And I will finish with another point which is really important for us. And I'm glad to have heard AXA, ENGIE, Capgemini, and other companies, because we really strongly believe that collaboration is key to move the lines. So this is why we are part of ILO GBDN network. We are also part and founders with Share and Care program of ILO GBN social protection platform. And we launched this year another coalition which is called Engage and Care Corporate Coalition, gathering around 20 international companies, totally involved and committed with such initiatives, with such program like AXA and ENGIE being part of it, to collaborate, innovate all together, and address the social protection platform and program, taking into account a topic like disabilities. That's it for the beginning, and thank you for your attention.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, and especially also emphasizing the need to collaborate, learn from each other, and thanks for also promoting some other networks that we have in the global business. In the ILO for companies. So we're not only offering something on disability, we offer a lot on other topics for companies as well. And thanks also for talking about the taboo, the stigma that everyone, public and private employers, still need to work on when it comes to disability care and so on. I think this is very nicely aligned with what we also say in the report that we launched this week: awareness, localization of global vision, inclusive policy design, of course, also through the ERGs, ENGs that some of you spoke about. So we ran out of time for additional questions from the audience. I apologize for that. Some of that, I hope, I see a few questions that were sent, were partly addressed already at the end of the webinar. But thanks so much again to the speakers, of course, to the participants, and I encourage you to have a look at the initiatives that the company representatives, of course, presented today. They are also, in a nutshell, included in our report, Care to Compete. As we said, it's available on our website, businessandisability.org publications. I hope this is just the start of a global narrative on inclusive care in companies. So thanks so much for being a part of this movement, so to say, and see you next time. Have a good day. Thank you so much. Bye.